Hello friends, I'm Parvez, and in the previous videos we have learned about how you can use MySQL database in Python programming language, and we had a complete video series on Python and MySQL database. Now in this video I want to talk about SQLite database. Now this will be a complete video series on SQLite 3 with Python programming language, from creating database up to inserting data, selecting data, updating data, and also deleting data. So now let me have some few words about SQLite. Now SQLite is a light version database, and it is a serverless database. If you remember, in MySQL database we used WAMP server, and in SQLite we don't need to any server because it is serverless, and also there is no need for configuration, for example localhost or password. So we don't need these in SQLite. Now by default, because we are using SQLite 3, by default when you're installing Python, SQLite is installed. So now let's get started. I'm using PyCharm and we are going to start our first coding in SQLite. So now first let me in here import. So I'm going to import SQLite 3, SQLite 3. Now after this let me create a main function in here, and now let me create a try. So try, and the try, the first thing I need, so let me add a alias, so as lit. Okay, now the first thing we need to connect our database. So when we are going to when we connect our database and we run our code, it will create a database for us. So for example, let me db lit dot connect. So in here you need to give your database name whatever you want. For example, I want my database should be employee.db. And now after this let me just do the accept in here. So accept failed to create a database, and finally, so in here I'm going to db dot close. Okay, like this. Now let me just run this, and okay, before this let me and I'm going to run my main method in here. So let me run this, and I don't have anything in here. So let me just do also, so if I check here that I have a database in here, so now you can see I have an employee DB, but I need to print in here. I forgot to print in here, so you can print in here database created successfully. Okay, now you can see I have an employee DB database in my in here. So like this you can connect you can create a database in SQLite. Now after this now I'm going to show you that how you can create tables. Now we have our database, but there is no table in this database. Now let me create a new Python file, and I call it creating tables. So now let me bring it in here. Okay, Now firstly we need to import SQLite tree, and now let me create my main method, and in here I'm going to create a try. So in the try I always forget to add lit. So in the try I'm going to create a DB, so DB and I want to connect, so lit.connect, and in here you can add your database name. So my database name is employee.db. Now we are going to create a cursor, so cursor object db.cursor, and now I'm going to create so table query. We need to create a table. The table name is users, and the table fields we need an ID, so it should be int. A name I'm going to give it text, and also I need to give email, so text. And after this we need to execute query, so car.execute, and we need to add our table query in here like this, and I want to print table created successfully. Okay, now after this in here let me add an except, and you can print unable unable to create table, and in the finally let me db dot close. I want to close the database. Okay, so now let me just run this code, and I have this code, and I should get a table. So let me run this. So print there is no employee.db. So let me just check that I have a table in here or not. I'm going to copy this, so, and let me just paste it in here, so I can paste. Okay, let me open show in Explorer. So I want to copy this and paste it in my folder. Why I cannot paste? We don't have any table in here because it's 0 byte. So let me just check this. No copy. So sorry, I have forgot to call the main method. So in here I need to call this, and now I'm going to call the main. Now let me run this. So table created successfully, and now if I check, so let me just copy employee and paste in the folder, in this folder. So now I'm going to open, I'm using SQLite Manager, and I'm going to open, so add database, and I need to add from in the desktop, so it's new folder 3, sorry, new folder so let me, what was the folder name? Okay, new folder 5. So new folder 5, I can find it. Okay, now you can see, let me add this and let me click on OK. So now let me just see. So yeah, now you can see I have table users, and if I open, I have ID, name, and email. And for the data, I don't have any data for right now for this. So like this you can create a table in SQLite 3. So friends, in the previous section we have learned that how you can create tables in SQLite 3. Now in this video I want to show you that how you can insert data to your SQLite tables. Okay, first let me import SQLite 3 as lit, and I'm going to create a tuples of my user and my users, and in here I'm going to add some users. So the first one, so I'm going to add, for example, I want to add some users in here with email addresses, and let me just copy this and paste it. So copy, I want to add 4 users. Okay, let me change the ID. So 2, 3 and 4. Also let me change the name, so you can change the name whatever you want. So let me add these names in here and like this. Okay, now we have created our users. After this, let me connect my database. So db-lit.connect. I want to connect to the employee.db like this. Okay, after this, so now with db, and I want to create a cursor object, so db.cursor, and after that I need to execute the query, so you need to execute money. Now in here we need to insert, so insert into users. So I want to insert into my users, and the values, and for the values I want to give it some placeholders, so like this, and the data is my user, and you need to print data inserted successfully. Okay, now let me just run this. So I have data inserted successfully. Now I'm going to check this in my so let me just copy, let me just delete this, and let me open. Okay, now I'm going to copy this, so I want to paste it in here, and now I'm going to check that I have this data or not. Let me add database, employee.db, and okay, so now let me users, and let me check the data. So now you can see I have these data, inserted data into my SQLite 3, into my employee tables. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can select the data from your SQLite tables. Now these are the data, and I want to select all of them. So for this, let me first import SQLite 3 as lit, and I'm going to create, I'm going to connect my database. So this is employee.db. Now let me with db, first let me create a cursor, so db.cursor, and now let me create my query, select query, select all from users. So I want to select all of data from users. After this, we need to execute our select query, and now I'm going to create rows. So after this we need to fetch the all data, and we want to save that in our rows. So fetch all. Now we need to create for data in rows a for loop, and we need to print all of the data. And let me run this. So now you can see that these are the data that we have. So you can see if you check my database, we have these data in here. Okay, now after this, let me show you updating data. Now how you can update the data in SQLite database. So let me create a new Python file. Updating data. Okay, now let me first import SQLite 3 as lit, and now let me connect my database. So connect, and my database name is employee.db. So with db. Now, so we are going to update the data according to the ID. So first let me create some variables. So username, not username, so new name. So I want to update my name. So this is updated name, and I'm going to add a user ID. So I want to update the first ID like this. Okay, now let me create a cursor object. So db.cursor CRUD cute. Now let me execute my query. So update, I want to update the users table, and I want to set the name. Let me add a placeholder ID. Also for this I'm going to add a placeholder, and in here you need to add your updated data. So name, and I want according to the user ID. Okay, like this. So now let me bring it in here. Okay, so after this in updating, you need to commit your data. So database, so db.commit, and print data updated successfully. Okay, now let me run my code, and so let me run it. Data updated successfully. Now if you check the database, so this name should be updated. So let me remove this, and let me add and copy this, and so copy and paste it in here, paste and copy and replace. Okay, now let me open my SQLite Studio. Database, add database, and let me add this database. Okay, so users, and I want to check the data. So now you can see the first data is updated. Okay, now we have learned about updating data. The last one is that we are going to learn is deleting data. So for this, let me create a new Python file in here. So deleting data. Okay, now the first thing you need to import SQLite 3 as lit, and now we need to write our code. The first thing is to connect our database. So lit.connect, my database name is employee.db with db, and now you can do this like updating. So In here you can add for example deleted, so deleted name. So I don't need to this because I want to add a user ID, so I want to delete according to the ID. Let me create a cursor, db.cursor, and cur.execute, and you need to execute your query. So delete from users, and where ID, add the placeholder in here. Now we need to add a user ID, so user ID. Okay, after this you need to commit the database, so db.commit, and also I'm going to print data deleted successfully. So now let me run this. Data deleted successfully. Now if you check the SQLite Studio, I have this data, and let me just remove this, and so remove. Let me copy the database, so Control C, and I want to paste it in my folder, so Control V, replace. Now in SQLite, add database, and we are going to add this database. Let me check users data. Now you can see that I don't have the first one data in here. So thank you guys, this was complete SQLite database programming for absolute beginners. If you have any questions, please let me know, and for the further videos please subscribe to my channel.